Picture this. She's standing right in front of you. On the surface, nothing unusual. But underneath, something very different is happening. Her body is sending signals. Clear signals. That you wouldn't miss, if you knew where to look. But the truth is, most men miss them anyway. Not because they're too subtle, but because they don't understand them. Now imagine this. What if you could read what she doesn't say? What if you knew for sure, right now, she wants you? In the next few minutes, you're going to see the real signals. What a woman's body reveals when she's turned on. Stay with me. Because after this, you won't miss those moments. When she wants you more than ever. 1. The lips, a silent signal, psychology-based version. She touches her lips, bites them, or slowly licks them. Not random. In psychology, this is called a self-soothing behavior. An unconscious way the body regulates rising emotion or tension. When attraction builds, the nervous system activates. Heart rate increases. Blood flow rises, especially to sensitive areas like the lips. That's why her lips look fuller. More alive, more responsive. The lip biting isn't for show. It's a reflex, a way to manage internal pressure. Her body is reacting, before her mind catches up. Studies on nonverbal communication show that when attention shifts toward the lips, it often signals a move from neutral interaction to intimate awareness. It's not about the action itself. It's about the state behind it. An inexperienced man sees this and reacts instantly. He rushes. He breaks the moment. But a grounded man understands the mechanism. He slows down. He doesn't interrupt that emotional build. He allows it to grow. He holds eye contact, steady, not forced, present, but not overwhelming. Because psychologically, tension is what creates attraction. Too much pressure, and it collapses. Too little, and it fades. The man in control holds it right in the middle. He doesn't need to act fast. He just needs to stay composed. Because when desire is already there, you don't need to create it. You just need to not disrupt it. 2. The touch, testing the boundary, psychology-based version. She touches you. Light. Almost accidental. But it lingers, just a little too long. That's not coincidence. In behavioral psychology, touch like this is part of proximity testing. A subtle way to measure comfort, safety, and attraction. She's not just touching you. She's observing you. Your reaction. Your stability. Your control. When attraction rises, the body releases oxytocin, the hormone linked to bonding and physical closeness. That's why she looks for reasons to close the distance. A brush on your arm. A hand resting slightly longer than needed. It's not random affection. It's intentional, but indirect. She's testing the edge. Without saying a word, an uncalibrated man reacts immediately. He leans in too fast. He escalates without awareness. And in doing that, he fails the test. Because the test was never about the touch. It was about how grounded you remain under it. A composed man doesn't chase the contact. He doesn't freeze either. He registers it, calmly. No sudden shift. No visible need. Because in social dynamics, emotional regulation signals strength. The less reactive you are, the more control you project. And control creates safety. He may respond, but on his timing. Not hers. That's the difference. He doesn't follow the moment. He shapes it. Because attraction deepens when a man is not pulled by impulse, but moves with intention. 3. The movement, a primal display, psychology-based version. She moves differently around you. Slower. More deliberate. Her hips carry a rhythm that wasn't there before. This isn't performance. It's instinct. In evolutionary psychology, body movement, especially hip sway, is tied to mate signaling. A nonverbal way of drawing attention, without direct approach. When a woman becomes aware of being watched by someone she's attracted to, her body shifts into heightened self-awareness. Posture adjusts. Movement becomes more fluid. More intentional. Not consciously planned. but biologically driven. She's not just walking. She's presenting. And here's where most men get it wrong. They react with hunger. They stare. They lose control. But perception is not the same as reaction. A grounded man notices, without collapsing into it. Because in social psychology, overreaction lowers perceived value. The moment you chase what you see, you give up your position. A composed man does the opposite. He remains still. He lets her movement exist, without needing to respond to it. No tension in his body. No urgency in his eyes. Just awareness. Because true presence isn't loud. It doesn't reach out. It holds. And that creates something rare. Psychological contrast. She moves. He doesn't. She expresses. He contains. That contrast builds intrigue. Because attraction doesn't grow from sameness. It grows from polarity. And nothing is more magnetic than a man who sees everything. 4. The eyes, truth without words, psychology-based version. She looks at you. Holds it, a second longer than normal. Then looks away. Then comes back again. That pattern isn't random. In psychology, prolonged eye contact is one of the strongest indicators of focused attention and attraction. When interest rises, the brain releases dopamine, the chemical tied to pleasure and anticipation. At the same time, pupils dilate. Vision narrows. Focus locks in. That's why her gaze feels different. Softer, but more intense. Controlled, but harder to break. And when her eyes flick down to your lips, your body, then back up again. That's not distraction. That's scanning behavior. A subconscious evaluation tied to desire and curiosity. But here's the key. Eye contact creates tension. And tension, when held correctly, becomes attraction. An inexperienced man breaks it too quickly. He looks away. Or he overcompensates and stares too hard. Both destroy the moment. Because eye contact isn't about looking. It's about holding without force. A grounded man understands this. He doesn't chase her gaze. He doesn't avoid it either. He meets it and stays there. Calm. Unshaken. Present. Because in human interaction, who breaks eye contact first often signals lower confidence. And confidence is felt before it's proven. So he holds the space. Just enough to let the tension build. Then, if he looks away, it's on his terms. That's control. And control, in silence, is what makes a moment stay in her mind long after it ends. Othing he doesn't choose. 5. The pattern, what most men never see, psychology-based version. None of these signals stand alone. Lips. Touch. Movement. Eyes. Individually, they can mean nothing. But together, they form a pattern. In psychology, this is called signal clustering. When multiple small cues align, the probability of genuine intent increases. One signal can be random. 2, maybe coincidence. But when they stack, the message becomes clear. Her body is not acting by accident. It's responding to internal states, consistently. And here's the truth most men miss. Attraction is rarely announced. It's revealed, in fragments. If you look for one obvious sign, you'll miss all of them. But if you understand patterns, you stop relying on guesses. You start reading the whole picture. An inexperienced man isolates signals. He overthinks one detail, and ignores the rest. A grounded man does the opposite. He steps back, mentally. He observes without forcing meaning too early. Because in cognitive psychology, context defines interpretation. Without context, signals are noise. With context, they become information. So he watches for alignment. Do her eyes match her touch? Does her movement match her attention? If they do, there's no confusion. And here's where control matters most. He doesn't rush just because the signs are there. He doesn't hesitate either. He acts with clarity. No doubt. No urgency. No need to prove. Because once attraction is confirmed, the game is no longer about creating it. It's about not disrupting what already exists. And that requires something rare. Awareness, without emotion taking over. Because the man who sees the pattern is the man who never needs to chase. A man who understands doesn't chase signals. He recognizes them and stays in control. If you found this valuable, subscribe to Silent Stoic. Become stronger and calmer every day. Now tell me, how many of these signs have you seen but ignored?